Hey everyone, what's going on? I am back again. I know it feels like it's been a little bit, but because of a couple of double ups, I gave myself a little bit of time off. But we are back again with another review, and we are looking at the Stellum Bourbon. This comes from the folks at Barrel Craft Spirit, but we are talking about something that's going to be a little bit more widespread, a little bit more consistent of a product. This is the cask strength blend of straight bourbon whiskeys, and it's coming in at 114.98 proof. So we are going to dive right in to that pour. The nose is, it starts off light if you just pour it in the glass and try and nose it. I highly suggest leaving this open for 10, maybe even 15 minutes or so. And what you notice is a lot more rich, gooey, brown sugar sweetness that comes out. So it does have like a dense, sweetness when you let it open a little bit more. But standard fare on the nose, really. You get some vanilla, you get some brown sugar. There's a weightiness that maybe it's just stuck in my mind because of the blend of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana, but there's a weightiness that comes with sometimes the Tennessee whiskey that might be in there. But either way, you know, if you escape that, there is a little bit of underlying citrus to the nose as well. But overall, standard, just sweet, typical whiskey notes that you'll notice on the nose there. Really inviting. A little bit of raspberry too, as I'm snorting there. But let's go ahead and go into the palate. So the palate is, I would say it's a little bit more on the spice side than it is the sweet side, but it does have some sweet tones to it. I feel like for as much as you can get these pancake-like breakfast, vanilla, maple, bready kind of notes out of it, you equally end up noticing anise, not quite licorice candy, but anise, clove, and what seems like crushed red pepper. And that's a little bit more as it lingers. It has this kind of lingering spice, a little bit of lingering trail that reminds me of when you like put crushed red peppers on a pizza or something like that. Amplifies the spice, but it still continues with these kind of soaked brown sugar sweet notes underneath all that as well. Not super gooey, not super dense, but a decently weighted mouthfeel, one that does linger with some oak too. And that is something that, again, as I would sip on this, if I sipped on this just fresh from the pour, not something I'm going to really pick up on. I feel like while not an ethanol alcoholic burn, it does have a little bit more of the spice-driven nature to it. You let it sit in the glass a little bit, you will get some more of the sweetness, the cakiness kind of introduce itself. The finish does continue with some of that pepper and then some tobacco and sweet oak as well. Overall, at least something that I found here in Louisville at our Costco, this bottle was $43.99. So at a $44 price point, cask strength whiskey, this is going to be really hard to beat value-wise, but you're also putting in that price point somewhere near getting close to Elijah Craig barrel proof, getting close to the Knob Creek single barrels that you can find that are around 120 proof. And so what you're doing is you're balancing out some flavor versus the brashness of the Knob Creek, even though it's higher proof, or versus some of the age or tannic nature that you might get in the Elijah Craig. It wouldn't exactly surprise me if the Kentucky aspect of this happened to be Castle and Key. There's something that reminds me of the Pinhook bourbon that we revisited that I had mentioned that you're probably sleeping on, that has this sort of grainy but yet kind of peachy sweet component to it that I really kind of like about it, but it does come off a touch youthful. I want to compare this to another bottle that we have reviewed, the Smoke Wagon, just as another blended product that's in a similar price point. Now this one does have still some oak and lingering sweetness, but there's a lot of baking spices, but they're really well integrated. So it still comes off a little bit more kind of high rye profile with the Smoke Wagon. than the Stellum here. The Stellum is kind of lighter, more delicate, easier sipping, and it comes with some kind of juicy fruit forwardness, some of that kind of what I said, kind of pancakey, vanilla, caramel, kind of typical bourbon profile, and then lingers again with a lot of spices like the anise and the pepper and the clove. Overall, for my particular palate, I feel like I do lean a little bit more sweeter, but I wish there was a little bit more viscosity to the body. For me, that's something that I really look forward to, is something that has a lot of rich mouthfeel, just really coating and really filling. And in a pour like this, it's not that it's bad at all. It has really great flavors. It's the fact that the spice, it's either amplified more than the body, or it just doesn't have the body to support something to allow complete balance to the spice and the sweetness. However, that might be something that is expected at something at the price point that we're looking at for this bottle. Guys, if you want to hear me talk about the rye, let me know. I just picked this one up, but I did not pick up the rye. But I'd love to hear if you guys are interested in hearing me do a review on that. Let me know if there's other things you want to hear me talk about, or if there is something you specifically want me to talk about. Shoot me a line, send me a sample or something like that. I'd love to try some of the things that you all are interested in hearing me talk about. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe, let me know that you're enjoying the content. Feel free to subscribe to the Entry Proof Podcast. That's a podcast I do with Drew P. Whiskey. He's also here on YouTube. You can follow us at entryproofpodcast.com or support us on Patreon, patreon.com/entryproofpodcast. Until next time, see you all.